Public hearing for LMK Realty Northridge Drive final plat.
Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held by the town board of the town of Lewiston on the 25th day of June, 2018, at 6:00 p.m. at the Town Hall, 1375 Ridge Road, Lewiston, New York, pursuant to the code of the town of Lewiston, section 306-4, regarding a request for approval of a final plat of a major subdivision located at Northridge Drive, SPL number 101.12-1-21 through 101.12-1-41. At such public hearing, all persons interested who wish to be heard will be heard.
Thank you. I have a sign-in sheet, but that is, I believe is for the resident statements for the regular meeting. Is anybody here to speak on behalf of the LMK Realty project at Northridge Drive?
Close the public hearing.
Well, no. We've been asked to leave it open.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Just continue it at our.
Yeah, so we'll be leaving it open for the July 23rd. July
23rd, you're right.
July 23rd board meeting. So we'll leave the public hearing open.
What? 6 p.m.
6 p.m.
Mr. Supervisor,
Yes.
may I ask why? May I ask why?
Ryan?
I believe
Use
that
the mic, please, Brad.
in talking over this project with the engineer and the building department today, there are still issues that haven't been dealt with, and prior to those issues being dealt with, I don't think that any of the departments, the engineer, the town attorney, or the building department are in a position to recommend approval of this project at this time.
May I speak to the issues?
You know what? Let's wait until we get into the regular town board meeting. Correct?
We can do it as part of the public hearing.
Do it as, okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Dominic Massaro. I think you all know who I am, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I've spoken to Mr. Landon today regarding the public hearing and what's gone on back and forth with the project. We've gone through over a year process with the planning board and with the engineering department and the building department to bring together the SWIP plan and to address the concerns of the neighborhood with the drainage and the buffer zones and everything. What we've done is the back and forth regarding the SWIP plan and the final engineering and the plat has gone on since probably the end of March, early April. So we're into our third month. That's been a give and take by and between GHD and also Mark's Engineering, our civil engineer who is not here tonight and could not be here because of personal reasons. Where I believe we are is that the majority of the issues pertaining to the plat and to the drainage for the property have been addressed. However, there has not been given significant or the proper time, according to my discussion with Mr. Landon, to review everything that has been submitted. Everything has been addressed by LMK. Now, what I would like to suggest to the town board, if possible, is that we look to a contingent or a contiguous type of an approval on this project based upon the information that has been submitted, because the further delay of an additional month or two basically impacts the project negatively from a standpoint of a number of reasons. One is I'm trying to get the financing committed to the project, which if several years ago, if we were talking about a static financing market, which we don't have today, it's very volatile. My business partner and I, Lisa Keating, met with our bank today, and they're looking for some type of an approval by the board in order for us to continue and commit to that financing. I can't do that unless I have board approval for that. Also, what that does too is we have legal work to finalize in terms of the offering plan for the eventual HOA to get that done. I can't finalize that and get that submitted to the state for final approval until this board acts. And also, thirdly, we cannot market or basically do anything in terms of advertising the project until we do have the HOA approved and everything is done. So an additional month delay will impact us. I respect the fact that GHD needs additional time to take a look at what Marks Engineering provided to them today. I do not believe that the issues at hand are of major consequence. They need to be reviewed and they need to be approved by GHD. And I would suggest that you receive their approval to do that. I would just like to ask that this board give the approval based upon the information that Marks Engineering has put together. We will do the same thing for not only the building department, but for the engineer, the town engineer, whatever else is necessary in the next week. Then the board can basically, with your approval tonight, if you can give it based upon us moving forward on those contiguous paths, that would allow us to start this other work, commit to our financing, get legal work done, and move the project forward. You have my commitment not to do anything in the field on the job. We can't do anything in the field until we have Mr. Masters' approval on the building permits anyway, and we have to give him that information so he can approve that. All this does is allows the necessary preliminary work for the project to proceed, and I'm just asking for consideration from the board this evening to allow that to take place. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Massaro? Any questions?
No questions. We did have a consensus a month ago that everything would be finalized before the board would take a vote on it, and we're not there.
I understand.
And I talked to the supervisor today, and said, I'm willing to come in the next week or so, call a special meeting to get it done. That it could be done, we could set up a tentative date even tonight. So as long as everything is done, all the i's are dotted and t's are crossed, I think it's a great project, I hope we can move forward on it.
And we'd like to do so too. Thank you.
What are the dates for holding a meeting? What do we have to, how much notice has to take place? 5 days?
It's as much as you reasonably can under the circumstances for which you're calling a meeting. So I don't believe there's a set time here. Maybe there's provisions to call emergency meetings and call meetings to get actions done that were unforeseen. So it's a reasonable given the circumstances. Reasonable given the circumstances.
When we chose not to have a work session, we kept it open, but we could have a meeting. And I would rather do it that way than postpone a whole month, 2 weeks. And we could have it at 6 o'clock, so those of us that have evening plans can go ahead and just one or two items on the agenda.
Let me ask this, do you think all the issues will be addressed by
Yes.
2 weeks from tonight?
Yes, I was away last month and I was not here. So essentially, I'm cognizant based upon my conversation with Mr. Landon today and also what Mr. Marks has told me from my engineering department, and they're dealing with Cammy Giro as to what's required. I will spearhead it personally to make sure that all the i's are dotted and the t's are crossed. You have my commitment on that.
So that would be July 9th. Does anybody have a conflict with July 9th, the 6 o'clock meeting?
6 o'clock.
Okay. Go ahead.
Ryan, do we say we continue the public hearing and with the intention of moving forward?
On July 9th.
Just we continue the public hearing, and do we have to say and possible take action, or just?
If there's possible action, yeah, I mean, mention that there's possible action that night. So the public hearing will continue July 9th at 6 p.m. And we can call it a
Possible action.
with possible actions.
Okay,
Call
so
it a
we'll,
work session
we
too.
will table it without any action taken tonight. The only thing I want to do also is I want to work out this situation with these streetlights.
Yes, so do I.
So I got an email from the homeowners association, and I want to get that straightened out before then as well.
I'm available to meet at your convenience or
Okay.
anyone's convenience. Thank
Okay,
you.
so we will schedule a July 9th meeting at 6 o'clock, and so we'll leave the public hearing open, and we'll take no action tonight.
Thank you for your
Okay.
consideration. Thank you.
With regard, I just have a quick question. With regard to the drainage in the rear, the intent is to have the homeowners association maintain that part of the property?
Yes, it'll be a private drainage system.
And can you just have your attorney forward me the draft of the homeowners association documents that he's gonna file with the Attorney General, so I can
They're
review
in the
those?
process now, I'll get you what I can, yes.
I just wanted to
That was one of the points I was bringing up, I want to authorize that completion, and we've been kind of like hedging on that until we get the final board approval, but it is underway, and I will get you sent, Ryan, whatever we do have.
Thank you, and I just want to make sure that it's contemplated in there that drainage is going to be maintained privately by the
I'll
homeowners
make sure
association.
that there's language to that effect.
Thank you.
Okay. I make a motion to continue the public hearing until July 9th at 6 PM with possible action to be taken afterwards.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, moving on, agenda approval.
I need to add a personnel matter and the cable commission.
I have a couple other sewer refund requests, and also some issues with respect to resignation from the police department, and a request from the chief, but I can take care of that under my liaison report.
If you're gonna do that under yours, I won't deal with that, the personnel.
Very good.
Okay.
So, that's it.
Any additions?
I'm-
The only thing I want to do before we do the resident statements is I want to introduce Dr. Abendanza and the videotaping, so I'll do that before, so.
Under my liaison, I want to put, talk about the power authority and the streetlights. I'd just like to make mention.
A couple things I'm going to add as well. Under legal, I'm going to add a resolution regarding proposed solar projects. We need to have an executive session to consult with the attorney regarding the solar projects, the proposed solar projects. An executive session to discuss personnel matter regarding the grievance that was filed by a member of the front office union with possible action to be taken afterwards. And then adding a workers' comp agreement under legal as well.
And that's not in an executive session.
That's not an executive
Okay.
session, no.
Are we going to take an executive session at the end, or do you want to do it, we'll leave and then come back? How do you want to handle that?
It's at the board's pleasure if you can.
Okay. Okay, we'll add it at the end then. Move to approve the amended agenda.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
You know what, I apologize, I mentioned the fees law as part of under legal.
Okay. And add fees law under legal.
Amend the motion to approve.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Okay. Real quick, I would like to introduce Dr. Abendanza, who is been the person behind getting our meetings videotaped, and I would like to ask him to come up to the microphone just to explain a few of the technicalities that we're going to try to make an effort at.
Okay, thank you very much. This project began probably about 3.5 years ago with the signing of the agreement with Time Warner at that time, and now Spectrum, of course, and it resulted in a 15-year contract with the town. They provided us with basically a no-interest 15-year loan to set up a system. And what we did for about the last year and a half, we worked to provide a comprehensive plan for providing the town public, educational, and governmental cable TV and streaming technology. We've also worked with NTRC, digital media department, who will be helping to provide various support in terms of student access and student operation of the system and so on and so forth. For the present system, I'd like to introduce Ronan Abendanza, my grandson, who helped draft the specifications. He's a techie. and for the present system that we have right now. And he sat in on all the planning meetings, and he's presently responsible for its operation. And he created a training manual and will be training staff members in the town to actually work with the system also. I think that's all I have to say now, so thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'm available.
Thank you.
According to my information, if a resident wants to see it on LCTV, they can tune into 1302 or 1303, and then to find exactly the time, they have to go to lctv.net under programming to get the time. Then hopefully this will be put also on our website, and hopefully we'll be able to be streaming it. So those people that are interested in what goes on have 3 or 4 different opportunities. Those people who don't have a computer, don't have a Spectrum, may have to go to the library to use a computer there to be able to get the meeting if they'd like to. On the Sentinel and the Gazette do summaries of the meeting, so the key points are usually highlighted. So every opportunity is available for people to find out what's going on. And they're certainly welcome to come here too. We always enjoy having members of the community in our presence.
Thanks, Bill. Okay, moving on to resident statements. I'll go in order. Rosemary Warren.
When you're looking at holy socks, they're now giving me them in church. So that's good. We had our first wedding at the farm, and it was a big success. They wanted to be sure that Mrs. Sanborn was there in costume. I told them I'd come to the reception, but not upstage the bride. I didn't want to look better than her. So it turned out wonderful, as I said. So if anyone else, you have children, grandchildren, they were married in the church, and as I said, very nice. Back door was up, there was dancing, no mosquitoes, just beautiful, beautiful. As I said. So, the other thing is, I would like to say, I don't want any town money to be spent on anything that has to do with Frontier House. I figure that that has to do with the village. So I don't want to hear that Greenway money maybe could be used, because if it's a Greenway money project that we would sponsor toward renovating that or buying it or whatever they do, that would be one less project that the whole residents in the town of Lewiston would have option to, you know. There's probably just so much Greenway money to be used. So just would like to have that. I figure the village, they can pursue Greenway money themselves.
Thank you, Mrs. Warren. Paulette Glasgow.
My library was. It's general municipal law. I've commented many times on the need to make the competitive bidding process free from any conflicts or problems. In the past, the state has cited the town for its absence of following the state's mandated competitive bidding process how it's conducted. Last month I spoke about the importance of ethics within the competitive bidding process. Last month you voted to seek 3 written bids to replace the HVAC at the senior center. Town and general municipal law require that before any bids are received, an advertisement must be placed in the official newspaper of the town, not only soliciting for bids, but documenting the date and time those bids would be open. Further, these laws specify this ad must be published at least 5 days prior to the opening of the bids. This morning, I requested via phone a copy of the said ad. I was told that the ad did not exist. The fact that New York state law wasn't followed concerns me, and I would hope it concerns you, because you have this issue on your agenda tonight. And I'm wondering what you'll be doing with regards to the oversight and the proper conducting of the competitive bidding process via state law. And depending upon your actions, I may have a comment later in the meeting.
Thank you. Steve Lyle.
Steve Lyle, River Road. I didn't know it was 3.5 years. It's good to see that. Question I have is, in the 3.5 years, what are the plans of access of the archives? Will all of this be available out there for some period of time, whatever's put out there, whatever's recorded?
Did that go down? My hope is that it gets on a YouTube channel.
No, he's right here.
Okay. My hope is that it gets on a YouTube channel and it's at least there for as, as long as YouTube will keep it up. I
As long as
believe.
we're alive.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, maybe even longer. But Dr. Jim, Mr. Lyle asked if we were going to try and archive all our videos so they're there for, I don't know if I want to say eternity, but a long period of time.
Absolutely. We're just beginning this process now.
Right.
And to deal with public, governmental, and educational issues, there's going to have to be a number of rules, regulations, policies developed, and so on. And we're just beginning that process now. But that's in the planning portion of it. And the college will be helping us to do all of that.
Yeah. And Steve, the key was to get them videotaped, and then we'll keep working on it and trying to perfect it too. So the goal was to get it videotaped.
So this is going into a hard drive here in town right now?
It's being recorded right now.
Okay.
Eventually, when we have all the systems functioning, this will be streamed real time,
Right.
along with being recorded. So then it'll be sent to the archives at Lockport Cable. We'll always have a copy.
Okay.
And we'll also go into the outline for Time Warner, their announcements that they put out in the
Okay, good to hear.
Steve,
Thank you.
And like the doctor said, he's available afterwards to talk about what his plans are. So thank you, Steve.
I'd be glad to
Steve,
be
it
fired.
wasn't really 3.5 years of endeavor to get this videotape. It was 3.5 years since the agreement with Time Warner was signed. So it's long, but not that long.
Thank
Too
you.
long.
Peter Taglerini.
Hi, I live on Morgan Drive, and the reason why I'm here tonight is my next door neighbor is in the process of selling her home. And she informed me that if she doesn't sell her home within the month, that she'll be contacting United University and soliciting, more or less making a dormitory out of her house. She'll get like 4 to 5 students in her home. And I wasn't sure if there's a stipulation as to if you could just open your house up to non-residential type of situation in that area. So I called the zoning board and said this was an issue that had happened, I think, 2 other times. Once on Hyde Park Boulevard, another one on the Ridge Road. And there is no stipulation concerning, this act. So I'll bring it to the board to see if there's something to be done about that.
I believe there is, it's just the enforcement of it. So go
Okay,
ahead.
it just depends on how many people they put in the home and how long of a term rental they do. We had issues with Nag University in the past, unbeknownst to Nag University, where, entrepreneur bought a house close by and decided to rent it out to a whole soccer team. Now, once we found out about it, we shut that down. But if they had, say, 3 people and they did a long-term rental, technically there wouldn't be any restriction on that, but it,
What defines a long-term rental?
like more than just a week. Like not an Airbnb type scenario, but there wouldn't be any restriction on you renting out your house for.
So I could open up my house to 4 to 5 students?
Well, it depends how many students they put in.
Okay, what's the number of students?
But I don't know, I want to say 7 off the top of my head, but don't quote me on that.
Okay. All right. I mean, my concern is that you have, if it's 4 females, you're gonna have 8 guys hanging around.
I'm very well aware of the concern.
Okay.
When I see the couches on Hyde Park Boulevard yelling and screaming at the cars going.
Well, right, exactly, that's what I'm concerned
I'm sure
about.
Mr. Kravitz aware too.
Okay,
Spread the word, Peter. The house is for sale. Put a sign in your window. On the
no,
truck.
I'm gonna turn my house into a dormitory now.
Peter, your dogs will be unhappy.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Taglerini.
All right.
Okay, then that will end the resident statements. Moving on to department head statements. We will start with Chief Previn.
On the agenda, for some items, just to let the board know, we had our regularly scheduled meeting with Nigel Wheatfield to discuss the SRO with the closing of the season and to see how everything went. They were happy with everything and how everything went. They couldn't be happier. I could tell you that I think that having that officer there has been beneficial not only to the school but to the town as well. It's helped us as a department, I can tell you, and they are thrilled with the job that Officer Rugy has done there, which I'm very proud of. So I think that's worked out very well in our first year, having completed the first year of that. The other issue, just so the town is aware, I'm going to be looking, and I've been trying to get a hold of Bernie, but I haven't had any luck yet. We are instituting a new policy, just in case anybody asks you as to why we're not making drug arrests right away. We've changed our policy on field testing substances. We are no longer doing that. I'm forbidding the officers to do that with, for the reason being, for the new strands of fentanyl and different things that are coming out. The officers simply can contact that and it can be absorbed through the skin, and they've had officers across the country, because it's so potent now, some of the stuff that they come out with, that they've dropped dead. And Narcan or nothing else has been able to revive them. So we're suspending that practice as far as our rule and regulation. We are looking into a device where it uses kind of like an infrared light, and you shoot that into like the substance without touching it, and it'll actually tell you what the composition is for most substances, but like anything else, of course, it's quite pricey. There are a couple out there that we can use, but that's what I'm going to be pursuing for that, just in case anybody, you get a complaint that we're not arresting somebody right away. So that becomes a little bit more lengthy of a process. You can't arrest somebody right away when they have a substance that we suspect it. It has to go to the lab and be tested, you get the results back, and then once we get the results back, we can go ahead and pursue charges. In the past, by field testing it, that sufficed. We still would have to send it to a lab, but we could charge right away. So the rest of my stuff is on the agenda.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Tim?
Nothing pressing, just we're in the middle of construction season now, so we're very busy with the building department. Building permits are up this year. I will just want to say I commend you for holding off on the subdivision approval tonight. It makes our job as departments and engineer much harder when conditional approvals with a lot of issues go forward. So I just want to thank you for waiting until all the issues are settled to approve it.
Thank you. Jackie, you're on the agenda. Bill Conrad, Deputy Supervisor?
Just one thing, I received a phone call from a resident, had a discussion with her about the, she had a good idea actually. We're putting the sunset clause, we're at, making it part of the subdivision law. And she suggested, and part of this discussion was, that we should also consider adding it to the PUD portion of town law as well. Subdivision law doesn't cover PUDs, PUD has its own section. So I would just maybe ask the board, I think I sent an email regarding the same to everyone on the board, but just to, consider that, and that would be a good move for us to, to add that as well, so we don't get caught up in some things that we've been tripping over in current reviews.
Okay, thank you. Mike Townsend, Water Department.
On June 13th, we had a major water break. Bad things happen to good people, and Sisters of Sacred Heart Villa took the brunt of it. The basement completely flooded. They had to remove a slide from their playground, so I think we should purchase a new slide at some point for them. OLP was without water, and St. Mary's daycare was without water also. Health department was notified, went through the procedures. Water, they had to boil water for 24 hours, and then after they tested it, it came back clear. I want to thank the highway superintendent for loaning a man and some equipment, along with the sewer department, for running the Broward sewage to clean up the parking lot and some of the playground equipment.
Do we have to officially notify those two institutions that were without water that they need to update their valve system?
We could recommend it. We can't enforce them to do that. We could negotiate something with them.
As long as you alert them in
Yeah, I talked to
writing,
you want me to alert them in writing?
I would think so.
Okay.
Mr. Supervisor, do you agree with that? Or do you
Well,
think verbal is enough?
he was just gonna say, he's had ongoing conversations with them, they're aware of the problem, and the hospital obviously has a double valve system,
We have a
correct?
double valve system where if it broke on either side, you can isolate it and it wouldn't be without water. The same thing should be applicable for the nursing home as well. There was a house at 510
Meadowbrook?
yeah, what's the next one?
On the other one.
Fairway.
Fairway Drive.
Flooded also, just so you're aware of that.
Okay.
Niagara University, the water line has been installed to O'Shea. We're just waiting on the health department approval to charge that line. There's 2 new hydrants on there. Niagara University put the bill for the whole thing.
Well, explain, like you did to me, how that benefits the town, actually. I mean, I know there's an old water line that's running through
Yeah,
there.
there's an old 16-inch water line that we bought for $1 from City of Niagara Falls. It was a transmission line, fed all the way to Youngstown. And it runs right through their campus. If that breaks, not only is it going to be a major flooding issue, it's also going to leave them without water on most of the buildings. So they are, besides this water project, they are in the next few months going to put another water line in on the west side of their property to bring in another feed, and eventually get off the 16-inch water lines from circa 1927.
And then we're gonna abandon that water line.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're gonna go from town water line to Niagara University's water line. We're off campus, right? We'll have nothing to do with the campus,
In the future.
on the campus water line. We'll feed them, yeah, which is a big relief. So, and I commend you on working on that too. So, thanks. And I just want to say, I spent 2 hours up there with the sisters today, and I helped them out a little bit, making some phone calls, because they were a little confused on some of the insurance. So my heart goes out to the sisters up there, but I believe they're in good hands with their insurance company.
So
So
there's a GoFundMe fund, is that correct?
yes, there's a GoFundMe page online for the sisters, and I believe they've raised over $3,000 there. So I think they're in good hands. So Jeff Ritter.
We're taking advantage of some of this nice weather and low flows to take some of our tanks offline and do some rehab work. So other than that, I'm on the agenda.
Okay. Bob's on the agenda. Dave Train.
Not on the agenda.
He's walking up there with a purpose.
Better get ready.
Keep it short, okay. So, I just want to make the board aware, we paved, binder, and milled more roads. We have 4 more roads to go. For the paving projects this year. I'd like to see if we can get something in one of the papers to remind people to please give us a little courtesy when they're on the road. Be careful. I mean, I've had people drive through our pavement, everything else is we're late. Just don't pay any attention to it all.
Is that weekend? Is that?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a.
And David, it's not only do they ride through it, then they want you to clean their car afterwards.
Yes, we did that last year. And I wanted everyone to know that we had Suco come in and they did Sarah Court, David Lane, Lauren Court, Curtis Court North, Curtis Court, Jason Court, and Perry Court. We did it's a micro pave. They come in and they do a real good job. It's almost like sealing your driveway with different aggregate, like a stone, a fine stone or sand. And it takes a little time to cure and heal, but over the next few weeks, with 90-degree temperatures coming in, we may get better results. And I'm going to be cleaning them up in the cul-de-sacs. The main road coming in looks pretty good. The cul-de-sacs, it looks a little shaky the way they did it because there's a lot of handwork. It wasn't done by machines. So I'm going to run in, we're going to sweep it, and then we're going to run in with a rubber tire roller and see if we can clean up whatever a few complaints we've had with that. Just so the board knows, we're not done working on it. It's a new process that we're trying for the town. The county's been using it, other areas have been using it. Hopefully we get at least 5 to 7 years out of it. For example, River Road's been done like that, and so is up there, Upper Mount and then this thank you, it was all done that way. It's got good results, it's lasting, so in the subdivisions, it should last pretty good. So I just wanted everyone to be aware of that. And then I have one request. Due to the bad weather this year, and it came in after my budget, Moore Road is a disaster. It was never, half of the road was done at one time, and the other half was just neglected. They did some work on it, but they never, they did a cold-in-place recycling on one half. The next step was to top it. It was never topped. The second part of the road was just never done at all. So what I'm looking for the board is approximately $83,000 from H97. Soup Coat's gonna be in here in the middle of July with the train to come in and do it. They'll come in and they'll redo it. They'll send out, we have the previous core samples already, so we already know what it's needed and stuff. So they'll come in, they'll recycle this road, mix it with more stone that the core samples tell us we need and how much more oil. And then I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna stone chip the whole road. The one half that was never done and the second half that should have been done.
Now, I know Moore Road goes all the way to Birch, correct?
Yes.
So it's not totally in the town of Lewiston?
No, it'll
Are we
stop.
doing anything with Cambria?
No.
Okay.
Cambria already did their road.
Okay.
And then what'll have to happen after this, we'll have, the stone chip should give us approximately 3 years. Then we have to make up our mind, but then we'll have to top it. And for an example, today's prices for top, for half of that, well, for the whole road, is approximately $130,000.
That's a complete pave.
That's just, yeah, just a pave after it's stone chipped in approximately 3 years. It's going to be about $130,000 to $140,000.
I have to speak in favor of this project. I had the experience of being out on Moore Road looking for boats about 2 years ago, and I got an earful more than once. And people had me out there looking at it, and I talked to Doug Janice about it, and when David came on, I talked to him. I said, this road needs attention. He explained to me the history of it and the issues involved. And then when he came about a month ago, 2 months ago, and said, if the weather cooperates and has all the equipment, he'd like to do more than he had previously budgeted. And I said, well, David, I'll support you because he's already behind in the number of miles he's getting done. If he can get this project done in 2018, that helps him take a little pressure off for 2019. So I'm in favor of it. If I did not talk to Jackie about the H97, but if it's doable, I'm all in favor of it.
I want to correct you on one thing. I don't think it'll take the pressure off of him for 2019.
No, I ain't gonna take the pressure. With this new micro paving coming out and doing this, it's gonna keep our good roads good.
Right.
And in the subdivisions, I know people aren't used to it, so they get a little resistant to change. But I believe it's just like Upper Mountain. They don't even know the difference anymore. You know what I mean? They can see it. At first, it was a rough surface, and the traffic, it wears it in smooth. The garbage trucks, the school buses, and my plows come in, it's gonna smooth it right out. Once we roll it and everything, in a year or two, it'll still be, it'll still serve the purpose of adding oil to the road, so it's not so brittle and not. What we did before we micropaved it, we went in the crack seal. So that was the first step. Then the second step is adding to extend the life to this. So and then the next step will be either another micropave or something, you know, to that nature.
Did you talk to Jackie
Yes,
in
I
regards to
spoke
this?
with
We
Jackie.
did,
Yeah.
yes, and we actually even talked with Ryan that the project would qualify under the H97. The H97 account could handle it, just to give the board a heads up that along with everything else we have proposed with H97 and including this 83, it would leave at the end of 2018 about $312,000 in the account.
Okay.
David, did you have to resolve any drainage on Moore Road this year?
Not yet, not at this time. We'll run out there before I go any farther with this. That'll be my next step. We're gonna be blitzing the town with brush the next week or so.
Well, when
And
Jeff
then after
Cosgrove
that, we'll
was-
run through.
When Jeff Cosgrove was superintendent for that short period of time, he did say there was a drainage problem that had to be addressed.
That one was already taken care of.
That was done.
That one was already done.
How much was the total you needed? 83?
83,000.
Okay, can I get a motion?
The amount again?
$83,000.
So moved to transfer 83,000 from the H-97 to the highway fund
Paving?
paving? Paving.
General repairs.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a
Permanent
second.
improvement, it would be permanent. But if you put it under my permanent improvement, I can use it for my state aid.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, the board, thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Mrs. Maggard, any news on, I know you, I'll include you in the department head statements. Do you want to talk about the Boy Scout, Eagle Scout project that
Sure.
we have on tap? Talk about the meeting we had the other day?
Yeah, we had a nice, delightful meeting.
Yeah.
I introduced Steve to Fred Guard, the third. He is the Boy Scout that's going after the Eagle Badge. And he's going to clean up the cemetery down here. Let me think of what the cemetery's name is.
No. It's around
Scoville.
Scoville.
Yeah.
It's around 1300 Ridge Road.
Yes.
There.
It's behind a barn, behind a bunch of woods. He said it's near railroad tracks, right, Tim? But it's overgrown, trees falling on top of it. It's a mess. So I hope he does a real good job. He's putting a team together. And Steve even volunteered to go down there for a few hours to see what's going on. So I hope to get that cemetery cleaned up and straightened up so everybody can enjoy it a little bit.
Is that the one you've been after for 2 years, Louise?
Yep.
Yeah, well, I attended a Eagle Scout ceremony in Sanborn over the weekend, two young men, and the one's project was a wheat field cemetery that he cleaned up, and they were grateful to have that done, so. So any other Boy Scouts out there, Mrs. Maggard has a couple more cemeteries as well.
We do.
So,
You know, Lewiston has 3 or 4 family cemeteries that are really at the bits. And they
it doesn't
need
take
to be
long to
cleaned
get
up.
overgrown.
That's true.
Thank you very much. I know Bernie Rotello couldn't make it, Mike Dashno's not here, so that'll end the department head statements. I'm not forgetting about anybody, am I? Okay. Approval of the meeting minutes.
Move to approve the regular town board meeting of May 31st, 2018.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Audit payment.
Oh, my pleasure. I move to approve the regular abstract of claims number 1532 to 1719 and recommend the payment of the amount of $197,740.64, post audit of $974.27. Do I say it separately or? Steve? No.
Okay, yeah. So we'll do that one? Okay. So we
Move for approval as read.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
June 25th, 2018. Move for approval of the regular abstract of claims number 1720 to 1910 and recommend the payment in the amount of $209,998.06 plus a post audit of $15,605.57.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Old business, board commission vacancies. I do have a candidate for the planning board. I apologize, I do not have her application as of today. We still need 2 for the Board of Ethics and 1 for the Cable Commission, but I do have 1 for the planning board. And I don't want to, I was going to make a motion to approve it, but I want everybody to have a look at the application, so we won't do that today. Change order on the ash tree removal. Mike was supposed to be, Mike had a family passing, so he wasn't able to be here. And I don't have anything on the change order for the ash tree removal. So we'll have to table that. Yeah. petition zoning law 1495 Swan Road. I do have an update, and this thanks to Bill Guyton. He spoke with Chief Les Myers of the Lewiston One Fire Company. As of this time, you've heard nothing different, they've suspended any and all shooting at the fire company on Swan Road. I think they want to come up with some kind of a resolution, maybe a time limit or some type of limits to allow their members to shoot there. So
We're reviewing the situation and hope to come forth with some recommendations and suggestions and guidance for it.
that's
Very good.
And they did that on their own without direction from us.
Yeah, we had a meeting Friday, and they advised us of that. And then the light request at 5152 Military Road, I know Dave left.
I was going to handle that.
Okay.
I was talking to Mr. Lannon on that, and I did talk to the lighting commission, but that's a state road, if I'm not mistaken, right, as we discussed.
Okay.
And what we could do, I don't know if, Carol, if we could send a copy of this to either Senator Wart's office or something in Morinello's office, and see if they would take over on this, and I can give you the copy I have. Just a copy of it.
We have a town light policy, and this would not warrant any additional lights. I looked, there's 2 lights there, one on each side of the road, on the curve. I've asked my co-councilman to look at them at night to see if they're on, and he's failed me.
Now, they're coming home in the morning.
I did go there, they're on.
They're on.
But it is a dark little stretch there, but in Lewiston, there's dark little stretches, my street's got it.
And I think we should just say that,
Well, it's a state issue.
It's a state issue.
well, but if the state says put another light there,
Well, no,
that goes back to us.
They would put another light.
We're in charge of it. It becomes a part of our system.
Sure. Do you know if we pay for the state highways lights? I don't believe we do. Bob?
That's a curious one. I'm trying to think. We just put one on. I don't know. I'm not sure about a state though.
Okay.
That's a good question.
Can we sit on this a little bit?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, we'll look into that.
Right. So no action there. And then pending, there's nothing on the dog shelter or the bingo inspector. They have no applications on the bingo inspector.
Steve, we've got to do something on this. Maybe we have to adjust the salary, but we need, and it has to be something fair and comparable to what other people are getting. I mean, we look at that, we need to have a dog control officer, we need to have a bingo inspector because we have bingo.
Well, it's the dog shelter, not the dog.
Right, but the next one down is bingo.
Yeah, right. Well, it's a 4-hour position a month.
Right.
So.
Nobody seems to want it for
Right.
like $12.
Right.
But we need to figure out some solution to this problem.
Okay. New business residents or in public correspondence, you have something? You have nothing? Okay. For under my liaison report, we have a project, a bike run. And go ahead, introduce yourself and talk about the bike run.
Hi, I'm Janet Scott, and I'm with Niagara Gospel Rescue Mission. Can I bring these information
Yes.
to you again? We're a mission in Niagara Falls, and we're putting on a fun run on August 11th. It's going to be from Youngstown to Lewiston with a rest stop at Joseph Davis Park. We've got approval from the Village of Lewiston. We've got permits from Joseph Davis and Fort Niagara. We've worked with the DOT Region 5, the permitting group. They do not feel, because this is going to be a small event. It's our first year, probably 100 people. We will not need a permit, we'll just need to abide by the rules of the road for this year. So we're coming to you today to see if we can get approval for this event. It's really to raise awareness of the work being done at the mission, more than a fundraiser.
I would like to make a motion to approve the bike run on August 11th, 2018 from 9:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. I know Chief Previtt's aware of the bike run.
Do a second for discussion.
Okay.
The only thing that we talked about, and I don't know if we've clarified, is their original plan was to use the path, which is not for bicycles.
Right.
So I don't know if that was changed.
Well, that's what the DOT gentleman and I spoke. He said as long as we abide by the rules of the road, he's 100% in favor of it. And that was
Of
the-
using which?
The road,
Right,
the road.
yes, okay.
Yes.
Because originally in the plan was the path.
Yes,
Right.
which we learned is not for this.
Not
Right. It's not for any bikes.
Right.
Yeah.
It's for walking. People
Yeah.
use it for that, but
Yeah,
that
I
doesn't
don't
mean
think,
that's
I
what
don't
it's
think there'll
for.
be any issue, especially when we spoke, you mentioned that they were gonna be released in intervals,
Of 5 people.
so I don't see an issue with that.
Okay, good.
There will be the art festival that weekend.
And that's why we're stopping at WTS. We're not coming really down into the village to kind of alleviate, because we had originally were gonna go to the landing, and when we realized it was the art weekend, we said that won't work. That won't work.
So we have a motion and a second. Any other questions on the matter?
No, I'd just like to commend them for the work that they do. I know a number of people who have gone through the program. They really benefited from it.
Appreciate that, thank you.
Are you, I assume, getting insurance for the event
Of
and
course.
everything like that?
Insurance for 1 day.
And can you name the town of Lewiston as additional insured if anything were to happen?
Do you need a waiver of subrogation as well?
We would like to
Sure.
have,
Sure.
identification if something were to come up.
Do you want to see a copy of it?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. We have a motion and a second. Any further questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much,
Thank you very
Dan.
much, thank you.
Under legal,
All right. Thank you. First, each of the council members are in possession of a local law entitled Local Law Amending the Code of the Town of Lewiston to Remove Fees and Allow the Town Board of the Town of Lewiston to Set Fees by Resolution. This will allow the town board to act more efficiently and not have to pass a local law every time a fee needs to be changed in the town. I simply need that to be introduced by a member and a public hearing set for the next, we'll call it the next board meeting on July 23rd at 6 p.m.
One, you want a resolution to introduce it.
It doesn't even need to be, it's just introduced.
It's introduced. All right.
Thank you.
2, call for a public hearing,
Yes,
which will be at
the
the
July,
July 23rd meeting,
that's correct.
6 PM.
second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
So
So moved.
that gives us time to look over those rates.
It does. My plan is to have a companion resolution prepared at that time, so any fee that has been removed from the code, I'll have a resolution to set that fee basically at that point, once the law passes and it's been removed from the code.
So there's no gap in the
Exactly.
application of those fees?
Exactly.
All right.
I have made all the department heads aware as well. They know they're reviewing their fees and such.
We only received it by email, we did not get a hard copy, correct?
That's correct. I mean, I know I have the hard copy.
It's okay. I stand corrected, it's in the pile.
That's
It's
right.
in the pile.
It's part of the packet.
Yes, okay. I did not get it before.
Thank you. Next is a resolution regarding solar. As I mentioned prior in the meeting, we've had, since we passed our solar law, and I think actually before we even passed it, the town had gained some interest from some companies seeking to build solar farms within the town. The way the town taxing, the way state law is set up for the taxing of these solar systems is that it's a little unique. Solar is automatically exempt from taxing. So it's up to an individual municipality to, you've got 3 options basically. One is pass a local law saying that solar properties are taxed just like everybody else. Once you pass that local law, it's done. If a solar farm comes into town, they pay taxes on that property just like everybody else. The second way is even without the local municipality having passed that local law, if a solar company wants to come in and build a farm without that law in place, what they do is they send the town notice that they want to build a solar farm. The town thereafter has 60 days to inform them that we wish to enter into a pilot agreement, a payment in lieu of taxes agreement with them, so that we can recoup some of that, the taxes that we would have received if we had a local law in place. and that's what this resolution does, since we've had notice for 2 of those solar farms, this resolution authorizes the supervisor to send notice to those companies and say, hey, we want to negotiate a pilot agreement. If we miss that 60-day period to tell them we want to negotiate that pilot agreement, you can't go back, you missed your opportunity, you're done, you're not getting money from them. So if we send out the notice and say we want to do it, we don't have to do it, we don't have to enter into a pilot agreement, but it gives us that option. And then, of course, as this goes, with the third option is the town could take no action whatsoever. You could not pass the local law, you could not respond to the notices when they're sent to the town, and in that case, the solar projects would not be taxed at all. So those are that's basically how it works. This resolution authorizes the supervisor to send notice to the companies that the town wishes to negotiate a pilot agreement.
I'm in favor of it after talking to Ryan earlier.
Yeah, I talked to Ryan, and I know I talked to Tim, who's been up on the solar laws.
Something we've talked about for over a year.
Absolutely.
But it certainly preserves our position with respect to getting some tax out of the property, so.
And then, of course, it's for the town board to decide moving forward if you want to pass the local law.
We don't necessarily need to follow this in every subsequent application.
What this resolution does is now the supervisor is authorized, every time one of those applications comes in, the supervisor is authorized moving forward to send out notice that we want to negotiate a pilot agreement.
I'd make a motion to approve this draft.
Question?
Yeah.
Would that preclude us if we pass this tonight, if we give him the authority to do this tonight, could we still pass a local law later on?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, if you don't have the local law in place,
Oh, okay.
that's what triggers this notice requirement.
Oh, thanks, man.
This is a stopgap, in other words.
Exactly.
This is,
So we-
Al motion for it, seconded, right?
We have a motion and a second. Any questions?
Do we could just pass it tonight, we don't have to have any time frame involved?
No, if we're going to pass a local law later on where you want to just have these automatically be taxed, then we have to have a public hearing. I'll have to draft a local law, it will have to be introduced. This is just a resolution saying supervisors authorized to provide the company's notice, we want to negotiate a pilot.
So what you're saying, right now, if a person owns a plot of land and it's taxed, solar farm goes on it, and then it's not taxed?
You can tax, so what was on the property before remains taxable like it was before. The increased value of the property based on the improvements that were made for the solar farm, that you can't tax. So you wouldn't be able to tax that increase in property, but the other portion of the property still remains taxed under the state law.
Or if it were wasteland and you want to improve it to be a solar farm.
When we went to the seminars on solar farm, they basically said if you don't have some sort of tax exempt philosophy, they're not fiscally able to succeed at the solar farms. And many of us believe solar farms are the right thing to do. But this protects the town for whatever is being proposed.
Gives the option.
It gives them the option.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
One more prior to the executive session that I will discuss, and then maybe action after the executive session on legal. But this one, the Workers' Comp Board in New York State has an online program where you can file and review documents in an ongoing workers' compensation case. The town has not used that program. In order to use that program, you have to assign an agreement with the Workers' Compensation Board. I have reviewed confidential secretary for the supervisor. It would make her job a lot easier if she could review documents online, file documents online, and be a part of this online program, basically. I reviewed the agreement. It's the standard agreement that everybody across New York State has to sign if they want to access workers' compensation claims online. So I have approved it as to form. I would need a motion to approve the agreement and a motion to authorize the supervisor to sign the agreement on the town's behalf.
Move to authorize the agreement.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Move to direct the supervisor to sign said agreement.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Ryan, is there a specific name for that agreement?
It is called, it's on your desk, Workers' Compensation E-Case Agreement for Employers, Carriers, and Third-Party Administrators.
Just for Carol for the record.
And that's all you have for,
At this time, I do have some things I'm going to be bringing to the board in executive session with possible action after.
okay, engineering?
Yes, there's, as part of the Sanborn Sewer Extension Project, I'd like the board to consider a couple steps tonight. First one would be the issuance of a negative declaration. I emailed over earlier part 2 and part 3. It's a very straightforward, simple project, 700 feet of 2.5-inch diameter force main to connect the Sanborn Museum, along with a few residents that are along that route. They're also coordinating currently with ag markets, which we have to do because that project is in an ag district. So that will be the first.
For a negative deck.
Second.
Well, did we declare lead status, lead agency yet?
Yeah, we've already done that back like in December, January.
Yeah,
So a while ago.
And did we accept Seeker's parts 2 and 3 as presented and filled out by Greg Kaiser of, was that of GHD?
Yes.
So we need a motion to approve and accept parts 2 and 3 as presented of Seeker, and then a motion declaring negative declaration.
Carol just came back.
Okay.
Move to accept part 1 and 2 of the, 1, 2, and 3 of the seeker as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
And again, repeat the move for a negative deck
Second.
on said project.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the negative deck. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved.
Thank you. Then the last would just be to seek permission from the board to authorize us to advertise for bids for the project. We would do that between now and the next couple of weeks. We have to submit that to the health department for review and approval as well. And our target would be to award the project at the August 27th board meeting.
And this is at a level for a sealed bid.
Yes, yes. This will be above $35,000, so that's to be publicly bid, and of course, general municipal law.
So
Second.
we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That's
So,
it.
thank you.
So that's positive for the Sanborn area. You talked about the weddings that were at the
Oh, yeah, I'll be busy being invited all the time.
farm museums,
Yeah.
and hopefully this will keep them up and running 12 months out of the year. And so this is a win-win. I know there's some residents up there that are excited about it as well. So thank you. Finance.
I'm asking the board tonight to approve 2 budget revisions that I have left at your seats. These budget revisions are needed to cover sewer pump repairs. The sewer department is taking $500 from their admin equipment line, deciding not to buy any office equipment, to move to the sewer repairs. And they're also taking $10,000 of the $20,000 Niagara County I&I money, which is put in their equipment budget, moving it from the equipment to the repairs to again cover these sewer pump repair costs.
Can we do these one at a time, Mr. Supervisor?
Yes.
So move to transfer $500 from administrative equipment to cover pump repairs.
Second. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. This one I have to look at a little more
So
closely.
this will be $10,000 of the $20,000 funding that we received from Niagara County for I&I can use to cover pump repairs. So we switched over to pump repairs.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
You have it? Okay. All the numbers.
And that's all I have, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Bax, liaison report.
We'll start with the police department. Apparently a letter of resignation, Kyle Martin has received a full-time offer of employment with the Sarasota County Sheriff's Office in Florida. And so he'll be resigning his employment with the town of Lewiston as of June 11th, 2018. So I'd make a motion to accept his resignation with regret.
Second. We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Then, just to do some personal issues, Chief Previtt would like us to consider us to carry 8 of his vacation days over into July from 2017. I would note that he's never done this before, made any of these requests in the past, and I would make a motion on that.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye.
Just briefly, I didn't read the policy manual, so that, I support this entirely, but if it's not totally in line with the policy, we approve this not precedent setting.
Make a motion I'd amend my motion that it's not intended to modify the handbook or the policy in any way.
Okay. We have a motion and a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you, Bill.
And then I have a number of sewer fee requests, forgivenesses. So that would be, the first is from a Jonathan Schultz, 5191 Bronson Drive, Lewiston, New York. He's asking that the sewer charges relating to 9,000 gallons for an in-ground pool installation be forgiven. I believe that the sewer credit would be $35.45, and I believe that meets with our policy, and all supporting documentation has been provided.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Just a question real quick. Jeff, that fits our...
Yes, it does. And they have a permit as well as a receipt from the board.
Okay.
They did it the right way.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.